Alright, what's going on, guys? Today's gonna be a pretty opinionated video. Over the past few weeks, the news has been very dry, and since we've got nothing official to talk about, I wanted to come on here and share the top 5 things that I want to see Elden Ring do that I think will really make the game meet those very high expectations that I know we all have. Now, this is just gonna be my personal opinion, and none of these are confirmed, so this is all just a very big wish list for me. And you don't have to agree with anything I say, but when you leave a comment, keep in mind that there's a difference in disagreeing and just leaving hate. So, without any further ado, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Elden Ring news, and to see some other cool Souls videos that I think you'll enjoy. But now, let's get into it. Starting off the list today, I want to begin with something that I think Elden Ring desperately needs to have, and really needs to have at launch, and that is a properly functioning PvP arena. Now, I've made a video already breaking down the whole debacle with co-op only invasions and why I don't think that's a very smart idea, and don't worry, I'm not going to get into that here. But one of the solutions that I brought up that I think would make everybody happy on both sides would be a fully fleshed out and realized matchmaking system for those that want to opt into PvP and have a fair fight. Now, we've had an arena in all the past Dark Souls games, and they've worked decently well, but they're not without their flaws. The most notable issue in all of them is the matchmaking, at least for me. When I played Dark Souls 1 back in its heyday, even then it was nearly impossible to find a match. Dark Souls 2 on the other hand worked very well from what I experienced, and I honestly found myself playing the arena more than doing standard invasions. I hardly ever had trouble finding a match, but in Dark Souls 3 I feel like there was the most wasted potential. With Dark Souls 3 they did something amazing by introducing all the new modes in which you could play. In about the first month of the arena dropping with the DLC, it was great and I had a fantastic time playing it. But after about that first month, if you weren't playing one-on-one duels, it became extremely hard to find a match of more than one person, and if you were playing a 6-player brawl, you'd be sitting there for about 30 minutes before you could start. So the way I can see this perfected in Elden Ring is to have all the different modes of the undead matches in Dark Souls 3, but to expand the matchmaking and include more players at different levels with a scaling to make it balanced. And to go even beyond that, we could have national leaderboards like we did in Demon Souls to give people even more incentive to play the arena. Now, I do think Elden Ring is going to have an arena. I desperately hope it's there at launch, but we'll see. Moving on to number 2. The next thing that I hope Elden Ring has is ways to advance the story and change boss fights. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. We kind of got a little hint of this back in Dark Souls 2's DLC, with Fume Knight going straight to second phase if you wore Velstat's helm, and Sir Alon committing seppuku if you beat him without taking any damage. Those little attentions to detail were so memorable, and it's kind of a shame that we haven't seen anything like that since then. Sekiro did it with Demon of Hatred, but there were a lot more opportunities that they could have enacted with the way Sekiro had its story set up. Now, we already know that NPC storylines are going to play a much larger role in Elden Ring, and we know that one big aspect of that is going to be going into the bloody history of the demigods and Queen Marika's offspring. Now, it's presumed that they're going to be the bosses that we have to kill and get the runes from to reform the Elden Ring. But how cool would it be if we progress a story so far and dive deep enough into the history of the boss we're about to fight to where we could potentially side with them or have a different version of the fight altogether? I just think that would be so cool to see return and fleshed out in a new way, to where it feels like the knowledge we gain as a player isn't just confined to lore tabs but actually affects the world that we're inhabiting. I'm really interested to see what they do with NPC storylines and how it differs from what we've had in the past. So I really hope FromSoftware surprises us in that aspect. For the next one, I'm going to combine 2 things that I really want to see return, and those are trick weapons and power stancing. Now, we've gotten a few leaks in the past suggesting that trick weapons might be making a return, but as for power stancing, we haven't really heard anything related to that. I think there's a lot of potential to evolve the combat if those do make a return, because both of these aspects of the games were so fun to use. It really made combat feel fresh, because it theoretically doubled the amount of moves you could make with each weapon that you had. Now, obviously, trick weapons had more options for that than power stancing did, but the ability to quickly switch between each version of the weapons helped make engagements unpredictable and more fun to play all around. So I know if these do make a return, it's going to make a lot of people really happy, and I think it would be a mistake to be confined to the same standard weapon types that we've seen for the past 3 games. So I really hope the weapons feel different in this game and there's more variety to them, even if it's not trick weapons or power stancing that makes a return. So I really hope those come back. Now, the next thing that I want to see make a return are incentives for beating the game with challenges. Dark Souls 2 did a lot of things right. The new game plus changes, bonfire aesthetics, and armor variety were all things that could have included on this list. But to me, the challenge run rewards and the invisibility rings are definitely some of the coolest things that they ever did. And I feel like the challenge run community kind of gets overlooked by the devs just because it's not something they typically think about. They have to worry so much about people being able to beat the game in the first place that I doubt people that actually want to make the game harder is a thought that even comes up. So I think it would be really cool to see more rewards come for different types of challenges that the player would want to inflict on themselves. For example, imagine you get a really cool armor set if you beat the game on Soul Level 1, or a unique weapon for beating it in a speedrun time. I think little touches like that would add so much to the game's longevity and would really cater to the hardcore players. So I would really like to see something like that happen in the game, even if it isn't too big or noticeable. People like to show off their hard work, and the best way to reward them for that or incentivize it is to give them something they can show off in game. And if those made a return, I think it would be a great way to make the game feel fresh on consecutive playthroughs. But moving on to the final thing on the wish list. The last thing that I really hope comes to Elden Ring is kind of an obscure one. I want there to be very powerful enemies in the early areas of the game that guard really good rewards. So let me break that down a little bit. Dark Souls 1 did this the absolute best. Right from the jump, you could go all the way down to the catacombs and get some really good items, but in order to do that, you had to go past some really tough enemies. But the ones I'm talking about are Havel and the Black Knight in the Undead Burg. I still remember the first time I encountered that Black Knight. Straight away, I knew I couldn't beat him. But I sat there for like 3 hours just chipping away at his health over and over again and dying over and over again, wanting to give up, but the question kept coming up in my mind: what could he possibly be guarding? Now, the blue tearstone ring isn't all that good, but I didn't know that at the time. To me, that was my reward. That was what I earned, and I kept that ring on for so long in the game because it felt like a part of my identity. And just a little bit further on in the level, even before the second boss, Havel is the exact example of what I'm talking about. He's nearly impossible to beat early on for a new player, but if they keep persisting and trying over and over again and finally beat him, they'll be rewarded with arguably the best ring in the game. And it's little moments like that make the game so fun for me and memorable. And with Elden Ring being an open world game, I'm sure there's going to be lots of little examples like that strewn throughout. The field bosses specifically sound like they're going to be just that. And let me tell you guys, I cannot wait to play this game. I made a video a long time ago laying out the exact things I wanted to see in Elden Ring back before we got the reveal trailer, and I'm fairly sure it ticked all of those boxes. So to me, this seems like it's going to be the best game we've had so far, and really feels like the culmination of everything I've wanted out of the Souls games. So I hope you're just as excited for it as I am. But anyways guys, that's going to pretty much do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on it and let me know down in the comments what your top 5 things you want to see from Elden Ring are. Thank you guys once again for 10,000 subscribers. It does not even feel real. And I'll catch you in the next one.